And we're back talking about Russia's invasion of Ukraine. We've just passed a rather dark milestone. It's been over 500 days since that occurred. We just talked about some of the damage to Ukraine itself. Uh, Yaroslav, you mentioned that many cities have been just completely leveled, they're rubble. We know that Putin has been very indiscriminate with his attacks. He'll have his forces attack anyone. It doesn't matter if they're wearing a uniform or not, women, kids, everyone seems to be impacted and getting hurt because of this. I want to talk about the case for war crimes. How strong is it from what you've seen so far, Yaroslav?
Well, it's a slam dunk. I mean, this is the first mass, full on, full scale war, really, that we've seen in Europe since the dawn of the internet age and the social media age. So, on a daily basis, people are documenting war crimes. And Canada, in fact, along with other countries, are partnering with the government of Ukraine in creating structures to collect this information, to collate and archive this information, and also work with international legal structures to be able to prosecute down the line. There's been tremendous work done by. I want to give a shout out to Oleksandra Matvichuk, who heads up the Center for Civil Liberties in Ukraine. She and they are the Nobel Peace Prize laureates for last year. They have been documenting literally tens of thousands of individual cases of war crimes since this war started. So it's going on. It's being well documented. Everybody's walking around with one of these days. So it is. There's no question that war crimes are being committed and they will be prosecuted. The evidence is all being gathered.
Richard, what about from where you sit? How strong do you think the case is?
Oh, absolutely. And I think what's a really unprecedented aspect is that you actually have war crimes or charges being brought in during a conflict. This is pretty unprecedented for the ICC. What will usually happen is that you have the conflict will end or it sort of peters out, and then they'll do investigations to identify crimes. And in this case, especially with the forced withdrawal of children from occupied territories, you have videos of these children being pulled out with Vladimir Putin and others in frame. Seeing them being brought to Moscow against their will, a clear sort of war crime in that sense, and they've been charged for it. So, I mean, this has caused significant challenges for Russia overall. So, I mean, it's pretty evident in that case. For some of the sort of the mass atrocities, such as in Bucha and whatnot, more investigations will be needed, but it's almost certain that there will be charges laid in those areas, more likely as sort of the war sort of winds down at one point or another.
Yeah, to Richard's point, a lot of the evidence is actually going to come from the Kremlin's propaganda reels themselves. They're actually filming this stuff themselves. The mass deportation of children. They're putting it into propaganda videos. This is going to be evidence. They are admitting that they're not just admitting, they're broadcasting that they're doing this.
So let's imagine for a moment that the war. Let's imagine for a moment that the war magically ended today. It seems unlikely that Putin's going to venture out beyond Russia to a point where someone could arrest him and bring him before a tribunal. Is it likely that he would ever be held accountable for this?
Well, I actually,
throw this out to both of you.
I would just point out right now that South Africa has got a real issue here because they are a signatory to I believe the Rome Convention, and Putin was supposed to attend I believe a summit sometime in the coming weeks here, and he's charged, and so South Africa doesn't know what to do because they want to have him attend, but I mean, they are actually obligated to arrest him for this. So, I mean, it's already causing Putin sort of issues in his daily activities. So, I doubt he will ever be sort of arrested, but it's already created challenges.
And this is not just some border skirmish. This is a full scale mass war between two European countries. One country is being battered, the other country is being economically and socially battered. When these things end, they don't normally end with, two signatures on a document and a handshake. This is going to end through some sort of a palace coup in the Kremlin or some kind of a revolt from his inner circle. He's probably not going to live to see the day of a trial in The Hague. It doesn't usually end that well for dictators in these kinds of situations.
Well, the thing with this whole situation that I find incredibly troubling too is when you think about the number of kids, we're not talking about a handful of kids that have been abducted. We're talking about thousands and thousands, as you've mentioned, civilian buildings being hit and so forth. I think there's certainly a strong case there to be made about war crimes. But when we come back, I want to talk about the future. What kind of direction are we heading in with this conflict and what Canada can do?